Hello and welcome to Elvinly Railways. Although I had done an episode on the hefty locomotive Ivy, I hadn't really done one on the railway this year, so this will be the first update. Obviously you don't have a lot of chance to do much this time of year. I'll still get out there when I can. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a dip here that needed quite a bit of work, but I'll come back to that later. In effect, it meant that Ivy had to work very hard in one spot. I had a wood delivery, and some of it I put in the back of the car to take up to the house. The rest of it I put in a wagon to store for a while. Didn't take long for us to use it all. The tarpaulin over the wagon kept it nice and dry. The small wharf was very useful for unloading all the logs from the pickup. Under a pile of leaves I rediscovered the base of an arch which I'd decided to make at some point. The frost hasn't done much damage so far this year. A feline visitor's obviously been exploring the coach. So the leaves are now cleared away and I was just getting this prepared to run round the loop. To do further work on the arch I got some more slate from this area. It just needed to be taken up here to the train. And there it is loaded. And unloaded. The track in this area is looking very nicely lived in now. And there was a nice mist that day. Here I'm trying out the balloon loop for the first time this year. I went around it a few times. The first time was a little bit tricky, but after that it was fine. Here I'm just moving the wagon out of the way, just into the turntable area. We still had quite a bit of wood in the house at this point, but subsequently we've used it all from the wagon as well. I had been contemplating putting some kind of overall roof here, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. I decided to relocate the chapel end sign. The moss covered bank now acts as the platform. This makes the distance between this and the two either side a bit more equal. And a spare screw. It's a better place for it. It looks a bit skewy. So we're almost halfway through February now, and it's nice to have some slightly lighter nights because it's just after 5 in the evening at the moment. I'd had delivery of 2-ton bags of chip-ins in 10mm and 6mm limestone. I was hoping to use some of it for ballast, but there's not a lot left. I have used a little bit, as you'll see in a bit, but I had to use a lot of it for the driveway, which was basically a bit of a quagmire. I cleared out the 2 points on the run round loop because they were getting very muddy. you can see underneath this area, after I'd started the line at the shed, I got to this point, and this is where I needed things to be built up a little bit, which is why I used the concrete blocks. The ground would have been quite soft back then, and it's still settling, so that's why we ended up with a bit of a dip. Batteries needed charging again. Get on there, please. So you whiskers then. Oh, I want to stay on for some reason. It's hard to see what I'm doing, to be honest. Right, there we are. He's on there. There we are. Charging. It doesn't say it's charging because that LED's broke. Slightly off, so I'm going to pinch the wire. So the hole there. Leave him overnight charging now. That was the last of the wood out of the wagon. Here's a tree that did actually fall down in the storm, and I've been using that for firewood. It was a dead ash, so it is quite dry. And there's a few scenes here of my old 5-inch gauge where it used to go round. It used to be a figure of 8 at this point. And you can see where there was an old little station halt here. And you can also see how scary a drop it was as you went over this viaduct. This shows how much sinkage I've had here. That was all level there at one point. This is where I'd like to start doing a little bit of quarrying out some slate. Take it on a 5-inch gauge. And then unloading it, and then taking it down the steps in buckets probably. And then onto the 7 1/4 inch, down to where I want to make some arches and maybe other decorative features. I've done quite a bit of work cutting things back. This tree needed quite a bit of trimming. What you can see here, where I've had to cut this all through to get the track through, is the roots of this tree when it fell over. But it's still trying to grow upwards. I'm happy for it to grow a little bit, but not too much. I charge each battery individually, so it's time to charge the second battery. On this day I started work on the little sunk bit by the platform. I brought back some ballast. I ended up using a tub and a half. Obviously the first thing I did was to raise the track up. At first I just pour it on and pack it and check the levels and neaten it up. Then it was time to do a little bit of testing. Everything felt really good. It wasn't far off at all. So I'm just going to leave it like that and see how it settles. There was a bit of an issue going over the setup points. It was just a little bit wobbly going over there, but I checked that and that's fine now. It was just a case of leveling a few of the sleepers up. That wasn't really to do with the work that I'd done on the curve, but I think you notice more when you're testing a bit of track. You'll notice when there's a problem with a bit next to it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and come back soon. Bye for now.